Welcome to Big Brother Basics, where we break down the basics of Big Brother Canada 3. My name's Jacob Harple, and joining with me tonight, as always, the most fantastic, most fabulous, Keith Guerrero. How are you doing tonight, Keith?
I'm fantastic and fabulous. Thank you so much.
Oh, cut out a little bit. I'm sorry. There's just, I'm always in the mood to talk about Big Brother Keith, and I'm glad. I just want to say that I'm thankful that you're here with me.
No, thank you so much for having me. It really means a lot.
Well, you know, it really means a lot this episode of Big Brother Canada 3. So let's go ahead and talk about it. We jump back into the HOH competition, and the first thing I wanted to talk to you about was, we kind of discussed it a little bit last episode, but we weren't 100% sure. Did Godfrey throw that HOH? And we got the diary room confessional from him, and he did, in fact, throw the HOH. What do you think about that decision from Godfrey?
I thought it was a very interesting decision. You would think that somebody like Godfrey would be paranoid, like being the house target twice in a row, that he shouldn't throw the competition. But you know what? Painting himself as a weak competitor, it might be crazy enough to work. Not the type of crazy that got JP sent home. But
I was just about to say that. I was like, the last person that said that.
No, but I don't know. I think it could end up working towards Godfrey's advantage, but I don't know. I'm still having mixed feelings about it. I know if I was in Godfrey's position, I wouldn't throw any competition.
And that's kind of how I feel about the situation. Like when you are publicly targeting someone, like everyone knows this is the person you want out. I feel like he's got such a target on his back that he really shouldn't be throwing this competition. You know, there's obviously a very strong alliance in this game, and guess what? The leader of that alliance is the person that you are publicly targeting. So I feel like for him to not even try in the HOH is really risky. I don't necessarily like it. I like that you're painting yourself as a weak player, but that's kind of something you want to do at the beginning of the game and not really now when you're at the heat of war of Big Brother. Mm-hmm. So that was my opinion on it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's a high amount of risk for the rewards that are going to be involved, but we'll see if it pays out for him.
Yeah. So we go through the HOH, and Kevin wins again. What was your reaction to Kevin winning this HOH?
I was surprised that the final two about the Ask Cindy questionnaire was Kevin and Zach. Probably the worst case scenario for Cindy, who's giving the answers. She must have been so frustrated when they were the last two standing. Kevin winning HOH, I think it's crucial. I think it's crucial for Kevin's gameplay. He needed to win. And I love that he finally wanted to win, and he won it easily. But I also wasn't shocked because he's a poker player. He's good at those odds making. So I think that Kevin's going to make a really interesting HOH reign. Hopefully he'll have a lot of enemies by the end of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, my first reaction was definitely, he did need it. I think anytime the first chance that someone that's not in the Diaper Alliance wins HOH, someone from the Diaper Alliance is going home. I think that's just the way it's going to go. That's the way it should go. So for him to try and win this HOH, props to him. I did roll my eyes when he said, now I got to stop throwing competitions. And I was like, Kevin, you stopped throwing competitions night one. So I thought that was a little, whatever. But it sucks because it's going to be in power through the third week in a row. But you have to remember there is only 4 of them and 10 people left, I believe. Mm-hmm. So they still have a very tough road ahead of them, even though they are seemingly invincible at the moment. Something's going to happen. Someone's going to throw a wrench in their plans. Maybe they'll accidentally nominate one of themselves like Zach did. But yeah, I think Kevin needed it, and props to him.
Yeah.
So I feel so bad for Sarah sometimes. Because especially in the scene at the beginning where she's beating herself up. What do you think about Sarah's game? Do you sympathize with her, or how do you feel? How did the scene make you feel?
I actually just felt concerned for her. I was just like
her well-being.
Her well-being. I was like, don't beat yourself up. It's just a game, honey. You can work it out. Just work out the kinks and everything. But she was so hard on herself. It just makes me so sad to hear all of her thoughts out loud, and I just wish I could sympathize with her and be like, you know what, you're good. You don't. This doesn't define who you are or anything. It was just a really sad but real, moment. Like we got to see a glimpse of what the house can do to you, the paranoia can foster, and it was very like self-defeating, and it was sad to see.
I want to ask you a question, not necessarily about the season, but just about the game in general. Sarah, I feel like is someone that does have a basic idea of what's going on in this house, and I think I would consider her one of the better players in the house at this time. How important do you think winning comps is in Big Brother? Because Sarah, it's someone who hasn't had a chance to win, and she's definitely frustrated about it. Are there other things that she can be doing to try and get power, or just kind of talk me through your opinion on winning comps in the game in general?
There are certain people that need to win competitions, certain people that don't need to win competitions. Sarah actually doesn't need to win competitions. If she was like a competition threat along with the strategic threat that she possesses, then she would be a way bigger target. She would be eliminated from the game way sooner. Sure, things aren't going the way that she wants it to be, but you also can't really be controlling in the Big Brother game because the house shifts week to week. You just never know when you're going to be safe, when you're going to be on the block. So I think competitions are necessary, but not mandatory for anybody's game. And but the thing that's working for Sarah's advantage is that she is authentic. Like she is genuinely frustrated that she's not winning any competitions, and that shows that she's actually trying to compete. Whereas Kevin, he like is trying to throw competitions. He could win it if he wants to. He could win it if he doesn't want to. So that makes it a little more like threatening in a way, because like he can just, whenever he decides to compete, that's when he's going to win. Whereas Sarah's trying to compete and she's still not being successful, so that makes it for a better predictability that she's not going to win competitions, which means that she could potentially stay in the house longer. So yeah, that's my kind of thoughts on the whole Sarah situation with competitions. I think everything's kind of working to her advantage. Her being frustrated that she's not winning competitions is working to her advantage. I just wish that somebody could relay that information to her and just console her so she's not so hard on herself.
Yeah, definitely. I think Sarah has done a really good job of, making her own power without having to win competitions. I do think there are key moments in this game when winning competitions, definitely you kind of need to do it. And especially kind of in this, I guess, saga of Big Brother, I feel like not winning competitions, people look at that a lot more negatively than they did in the past. But I wouldn't consider not being able to win competitions a 100% bad thing. I feel like it saved her a couple of times. With example to Sarah, there are plenty of times they target people that were around Sarah, like her allies, but Sarah was the one that stayed because she was a weak competitor. So it's just about finding what your advantages are in the game and using those, and trying to create power after that, not necessarily having to win a veto or having to win an HOH.
Yep.
Bit of what Kevin's plan is when he's having that meeting with the Diaper Alliance, and what did you think about Kevin's overall mindset for this HOH in regards to what he might want or what the Diaper Alliance might want?
Well, I enjoyed that Kevin's playing this game for himself, and I knew he was going to do that. He's only going to do what's best for him, and so I like that when Zachary tried to push his agenda on Kevin, Kevin didn't bite. Because this is Kevin's HOH reign. Like, it doesn't make sense for Kevin to go after Godfrey. You're saying that Godfrey's going to go after the entire alliance. No, Zach, Godfrey's only going after you, just you. So I think it makes sense that Kevin doesn't go after Godfrey really at all this HOH reign. I think that was a good call. I'm not sure, but like Kevin doesn't know, but like Godfrey would nominate straight up Zach and Kevin. So if Zach doesn't go home, then Kevin's a great consolation prize. So maybe it would have been good for Kevin to go after Godfrey in a sense. But Godfrey doesn't bring any power or numbers, so I also understand that aspect of it. Does Kevin need to lie to the Diaper Alliance for his agenda? Potentially. Maybe that's the way the house is, and Zach really does need to feel comfortable because maybe the house all responds to him. I'm not sure what the house dynamics are, but I would like to think that he could have told the truth and still went about his business in that way. So I think it's an interesting call that he's really not going to tell anybody about his agenda until he just carries it out. And I just hope that it affects Kevin's games negatively, because I'm not a fan of Kevin. I'm not sure if you picked up on that drift, but I'm not. So It'll be entertaining. I'm pretty sure that this week, even though it's another Diaper Alliance HOH week, I think it's going to be entertaining. But I hope that it will negatively impact Kevin's game.
Well, whether or not we want it to negatively impact Kevin's game, I think that it is good to see that mindset in Kevin. I want to do what is going to be best for my game. Godfrey's going after Zach. It's not going after me. Why should I win? Why should I use my HOH to do Zach's dirty work? Yeah. I do agree with what you said, though. I think if I'm Godfrey, I'd probably just put up Zach and Kevin, and then whichever one wins veto, the other one goes. So in a way, you could kind of see why Kevin might want to get Godfrey out. But ultimately, I think Kevin's play here is to make a deal with Godfrey, try and win him over, and then go after some other people in this house that are going to try to go after him. Bobby and Bruno, those people are definitely would put him up if they won HOH. You can't really trust the girls either, if I'm Kevin. So it was good. I think it's a really good move. You want to try and keep the people in the house that you are pretty sure aren't going to go after you, and are going to go after people that are on your side. So that way you can try and get those allies out of the game without getting any blood on your hands. So I thought it was an interesting plan, and I'm really interested to see how the veto plays out and what the final nominations look like.
Yeah, me too.
So let's talk about Willow for a second. She's laying in bed with Sarah, and they realize how the Diaper Alliance is still talking at 3 a.m. in the morning, and she's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go up in there and just see what's going on. What did you think about that scene with Willow and the couples?
Well, she definitely walked into something, and I love that it was at 3 in the morning because that's the time you think you're safe to strategize, and then in walks Willow. I think it's just so interesting that the Diaper Alliance doesn't really include Willow, despite Willow voting with them. That just shows how little they trust, little in stock people put in Willow from both sides of the house. I think the conversation prior to was way more authentic, but then when Willow came in, they were kind of using a lot of PR with what they were saying, making sure that they were comfortable with whatever Willow relayed, whatever information they gave her. But I thought it was a good move for Willow to go in and kind of break up the honeymoon that was happening in the HOH room. And I'm just also glad that they were keen enough to see that there was nobody from the couples that were inside the room for Willow to just go back upstairs. So good for Willow for dropping in and trying to figure out what's up.
Do you think it's a mistake for the Couples Alliance to kind of be so weird with Willow, or do you think that they're handling it perfectly?
No. I think it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake for the couples to segregate themselves so obviously,
yeah.
That's a huge mistake. The fact that the whole house already knows that the couples are going to be tight to the very, very end, huge mistake. They made themselves isolated. They made themselves a target. Sure, they're in power now. It's just a matter of time. All it takes is one HOH week. The entire house will unite and get rid of the couples.
Yeah, no, I agree. You definitely want to try and make people feel more comfortable with your alliance instead of having such blatant lines drawn. Willow, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that Willow is the fifth of that alliance, hands down, if even the fifth. So yeah, it was exciting to see Willow just kind of not only break up the meeting, but get a little bit of information about what's going on.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about Bobby, because I think Kevin was going to nominate Bobby no matter what.
Yeah.
But Bobby, they're all having that conversation outside, and the talk of a pond comes out. And Bobby looks like that kid in class that always wants to answer the teacher's questions. Pick me, I'll do it. What did you think about that?
Well, I never think you should volunteer to be a pawn, but let me hear Bobby's argument out, okay? Because even though he's stupid, his defense was that he wanted to compete in the veto competition. He doesn't feel comfortable with Kevin as HOH. He thinks that he could possibly be backdoored. He would rather be nominated straight up to have a chance at winning veto. That aspect I could buy. If you really think that you're in a bad position inside the house and you think that you could potentially be backdoored, I think, if I were Neha's situation, I wish I could just be nominated pre-veto and at least compete in veto to save myself. Neha didn't even get that. And then Cindy, when she was backdoor, she didn't even get that. So Bobby guaranteeing that he'll be playing in the veto competition, I thought was an interesting move. But the fact that he nominated you, like volunteered to be a pawn, I'm just I'm not a fan of that. But it is tricky because Bobby's thing is that he's a physical competitor. So like he doesn't have any like social or strategic like I forget what that word is, but he doesn't really have that in his wheelhouse. So hey, at least he gets to compete in veto, and that's what you kind of want as a physical threat if that's what you bring to the table. So
yeah, okay.
No. Go in on him because I would go in on him, but I just wanted to hear his side of the argument. But talk about how stupid it is to volunteer as a pawn.
I mean, it's stupid, right? It's stupid. Like, not only is it dumb in general, but you are in the season where the guy nominated himself through the veto and got sent home 5-4.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I told you, no one after that week, no one could be that dumb to volunteer themselves as a pawn after what has already happened. But you know what? Bobby, he's always proving us wrong. He's always raising the bar for us. And I get that it's like, oh, at least I want to have the chance to compete in veto. But it's like, if you're on the block, you go home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. If you're on, what better way to stay safe than just to not be on the block in general?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good way to stay safe if you're not even an option to leave. And like, I get it that he's probably going to go up anyway, but you definitely didn't make it any harder for Kevin by volunteering. And then my thing is, volunteer yourself to go up as a block, even if you survive. It's like you have that stigma about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, people can now look at you and be like, "Oh, well, I could always use him as a pawn. He volunteered. He wouldn't mind to volunteer again." And so it's something you never want to do. Your number one focus in the game should always be what can I do to make sure I'm not sitting in one of those two chairs?
Yeah.
And it's just like, instead of No Blood Bobby, I'm gonna start calling him No Brains Bobby. You know what I mean?
Blood, he doesn't have brains. Yeah. But like in history's past, the people that were physical threats mostly left by back doors. And so I could understand Bobby's argument in that sense that he wants to be nominated pre-veto. But if I were to be in the jury at the very end and Bobby somehow makes it to the final two and he like volunteers to go on the block, I don't think you could tell me that would be any form of strategy. I would just think that you're stupid.
I completely agree. So let's go to the, I guess, reward challenge. Were there any prizes during that you found really, really interesting, or anything about the challenge in general?
Yeah. So obviously the note from home, like I would want to mess with some people and not give them their letter from home. But the types of prizes that I find the most attractive are like if I were to be in the house, are like the neutral ones. So like the lobster suit, anything that doesn't really affect the game or would attach anything associated with me, I would want to have. And so I don't remember what really particularly stood out. Okay, another one that stood out was Willow. She got to write a letter to the jury. That
was the most impacting prize in my opinion.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. How much of an impact can that letter have on two jury members?
See, that's what I'm confused about. Is the letter going directly to the jury, or is that something that the jury will get at the end of the game? I feel like they weren't really clear about that.
I think it'll go directly to the jury, so that way they can like talk about, I guess, Willow's game in the sense that like, oh, Willow's gonna be loyal to Sarah, which I don't think Willow should have even put. Like, if you're saying that you're playing for Sarah's game, like you're 100% loyal to someone else, that would make me think that Sarah's playing a better game than you. So I don't know.
It's kind of about the way you word it, because
exactly
maybe you word it like Sarah and I are loyal to each other instead of I am loyal to Sarah. I see what you mean, but I think it's just a matter of wording it a certain way.
Yep.
I think it's a small yet impacting advantage. I'd say it's a small advantage, the letter in general. I don't know if the people that are in there now really have that much of an opinion on Willow, whether it be good or bad. So maybe just a letter just being like, hey, I'm playing this game. These are kind of the basic prints of what I'm doing right now. And that's just what I'm working with. And so I thought it was a very cool reward. And I'm surprised we really didn't hear that much from everyone about it. No one really seemed to care, which I think was kind of a mistake for some people.
I also think that it's hilarious every time Godfrey like has a prize or like a possible punishment, he doesn't want it. Like he's like, Willow, you have to sleep on the gears. I don't care. Or like, Pilar, take this lobster suit, take it and wear it because I don't want to be it. And like, it's just so funny that Godfrey doesn't want any consequences. He'll take all the cash, but if there's anything that has any sort of consequences, he's out.
He's a master escape artist. Whether he's on the block or just trying to get rid of a punishment, he's trying to find his way out of it at all times.
Yep. The worst punishment, I think, was Bobby's. Like having to have slop on your feet for 12 hours.
That's disgusting.
That'd be horrible. You'd have like pruny feet after that. I feel like your skin would rub off. That's awful.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the worst prize in my opinion.
Definitely.
So what better person to get it than Bobby?
If you were Pilar, what thing would you take?
Honest to God, I think she took probably I think she did the right thing. I think if she took the jury letter, I love Pilar. I don't think she would have made use of it.
Yeah.
And anything else, like taking like an actually good reward, might have ruffled some feathers. So she just took one of the normal punishments. I didn't mind the move by Pilar. I didn't really think I think she did fine. What did you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that the move she made was the best decision, whether she wanted to or not, or regardless of her reasoning behind it. So yeah, I think she made the right call. If I was against Ashley, though, I would snatch that little family video, and I wouldn't even care about watching the family video. I would have it play, and I would leave the room just so Ashley could have that effect. I'm like, oh, it's playing. I'm gonna go get some waffles real quick.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. So let's talk about Brittany and basically her conversation with Kevin, where Kevin's just like, hey, like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm gonna put you and Bobby on the block together. Why do you think Brittany has become the scapegoat for people looking for pawns?
The perception is that she's a weak competitor. They feel like there's going to be zero retaliation because there's the least likelihood, like she's the least likely person to win an HOH to do anything about it. Kevin specifically nominating Brittany, I'm not sure if I agree with, because he already nominated Brittany like week 2. And I understand that he had to make a decision like on the fly, like he nominated Neha and Brittany. But this time it was well thought out, like he had plenty of time to think about it. And he's using the same strategy again. He's not switching it up. He's saying, you know what, Brittany, you're a pawn and I'm going to make you a pawn again. And if I were Brittany, I would just be like, you realize that this is the second time out of 2 times that you nominated me as a pawn. And I let you off the hook for the first time. You're going to make an enemy out of me if you put me on as a pawn again. I think she needs to start negotiating because she's being placed into that pawn role where she really could have more stock if she simply says, I'm going to have an issue with it. You're going to be my #1 target. Because even if she does say something like that, the perception still is that she's going to be a weak competitor. So like, she's still going to get the votes. She's going to be like, you know what? People have been voting to keep me because they think I'm a weak competitor. If I win an HOH competition, I'm coming after you. Like, come on. Like, you can say something like that. Like do some negotiating.
Yeah, back yourself up a little bit. Just be like, listen, I understand that you got to do what's best for your game, but I'm sick and tired of going up on the block. I hate that people think they can just throw me up there. You know, I've won HOH in this game before, and I can damn well do it again. And when I do win HOH, I'm definitely going to be thinking about all the people that have nominated me. So you do what you want, but just realize that consequence in this game. And you can't just keep putting me on the block and not think I'm going to do something about it.
Exactly. And I would also bring up her HOH reign where you're like, did you not realize when I did win HOH, I nominated the people that nominated me. So you just want to be back on the list, right, of people that I'm going to go after?
Right.
Because I will never be a vote for you should you be on the block. And any type of argument you're going to use for your advantage with me in the game,
I'm not going to listen to it. This is the second time that you won HOH and the second time I'm going on the block. Clearly my game doesn't matter to you, so your game doesn't matter to me. Do it and try me. I mean, she just needs to do some sort of negotiating because right now she's kind of letting, even though it's Kevin's HOH reign, she needs to set her terms. Like, hey, this is if I go up on the block, I'm letting you know now, I'm not going to go home. Everybody thinks I'm a weak competitor. I'm going to stay, and I will never do anything to benefit your game. Simple as that.
And that's it.
Really
but yeah, no, I completely agree. But yeah, so Kevin ends up putting Brittany and Bobby, Brittany and Bobby on the block. Brittany and Bobby on the block. So just in general, what do you think about these nominations? Do you think that it's the right move for Kevin? Is there anything else you think he could have done differently? What do you think?
I think it's an interesting move. I don't know what his master plan is. Like the entire episode, he has said he has this master plan. I don't know if the master plan is to backdoor Bruno or to leave nominations the same and get rid of Bobby.
I definitely think it's one of those two things.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't know who else it could be aside from Bruno. I mean, the other person that was in his 4 nomination list was Willow, and Willow voted with their group. So obviously Willow just has a horrible social game.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense for him to go after Willow this week.
Exactly.
I don't think that's a smart option.
Right.
At least in his mind.
Yeah. Oh, and then also made me think that Godfrey wasn't in the 4-person alliance. So maybe his master plan has to do with Bruno. Maybe his master plan is to backdoor Bruno.
I definitely think that's it. And would you say that's a good move for Kevin to go ahead and take a swing at Bruno and Bobby?
Oh, yes. Oh, well, not just Bobby, just Bruno. Like, Bruno is the deadliest person outside of their alliance. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Finish that thought.
All that Bobby has is competitions, but, like, your mind is way more powerful inside this game, and Bruno has that unlocked.
Yeah, I agree. Like, Bruno has so much perception in this game, and the things he was saying while talking to Godfrey, he was just hitting everything on the head. He just knew what was going on. And it just made me, I feel like I've brought it up multiple times, and I just can't stress enough how frustrated I am for Bruno, because I feel like his biggest weakness in this game is that his allies are idiots. His allies are volunteering to go up on the block. They're not able to win these competitions. Bruno is waiting. He's waiting to take he needs that power. He needs to stay in the game long enough. And it would really suck to see him go this week. And I'm really hoping he can find a way out.
You know, I think the best move for both Bruno and for Kevin's game is for Bruno to win veto. And because if Bruno wins veto, he's going to veto Bobby. And then, you know, Kevin can just maintain his honesty by backdooring Godfrey. That would be his only move from that point. Because that would be that would be the only target, only thing to accomplish. Like you said, like getting rid of Willow will accomplish nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Willow and Brittany nomination, like you were so excited to win this HOH.
I know, right? Oh, thanks for pulling off this big move for us, Kevin.
So yeah, at that point, I think it would only have to be Godfrey, but we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely should be an interesting week. I'm excited to see how veto plays out. Anything else that we're missing from this episode?
I think that pretty much covers it. Let's wrap this up.
All right, well, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you tune in for the veto episode tomorrow night. Also, make sure you catch our recap following right after the show. And yeah, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Jacob Harple, at Most Humble, at Sarcastivities. Like us on Facebook, Big Brother Basics, and subscribe to us on YouTube. More importantly, stay basic.
Stay basic, my friends.